wanted to introduce myself. I am Paula Star Finney. I am the owner of Creating from Being. That is my business. It's called Creating from Being because we create from a space of being. I create from whom I'm being. We all create from whom we're being. So the services that I offer is mindset coaching. And I think it was like, what is mindset coaching? Well, basically, it's really guiding and teaching a way of creating. When Because everything's energy. What are our words? So it's me listening to what are the seekers, what are they seeking for themselves? And in that aspect, it's not really so much on the outside, but so I'm able to unlock or dismantle help them dismantle the old belief system. So
Okay.
and to start embracing, in a sense, and realizing, to take a notice, how am I expressing myself, and what words am I using to express who I am, and not just who they are, but everything that's outside of them, which is all inside. And it's not just like a one session deal, it's a little bit of a process, and everyone's in their own process. Some will gather it easier, some maybe just a little bit more challenging, just because of the old patterns. It's basically breaking the patterns. There's so many little different pieces to that, but it's really where I help guide them in their journey, because we're all in a transformation, all in a different space of transformation. So wherever that individual is in their transformation, is to help them to move in that transformation with a little bit more ease and more confidence, and then to really thrive in the end. So where they're not relying on me as their anchor, but they're relying on themselves. I'm just here to help guide and teach, but also give the tools that can help you get there. Whatever tools resonate, because that's all they are. They are tools.
Sure.
So I am also a Reiki master. That is something that it's a Reiki master, but it's my foundation. It's not exactly the Reiki that I use. It's more about energy. Well, it's all energy. So
Right.
it's basically my way. But and,
I love it.
yeah, and so I stepped into the role just recently of certifying individuals in Reiki, like their level 1 Reiki, because there's moving up here. It's like, I want to do that. I want to get certified. And I like, okay, I can do this. I will teach you. And it was like, okay, it's like, great. And I'm also I'm a sound bowl practitioner, or sound journey practitioner, because I don't just use bowls anymore. I now have incorporated a wave drum, which is really very absolutely beautiful. I've been facilitating, I want to say about 5-6 years now. I have to think about that, and I feel like I want to say shorter years, but it's not. It's actually longer. Like, time flies.
Right.
So I I really tune into the energy that of the collective in the moment, in the session. So it's basically a lot of group sessions. Um, I do private sessions. I'm doing events, and I want to say the past year and a half since I moved back up here, it's like it keeps me busy, which warms my heart. The other thing,
Wonderful.
what else is it? Because I like it. Oh, so this has been going on for almost 2 years now, where I'm getting my level 1 Soma breathwork certification. Um, so as to be an instructor, it's a level 1, but I'm already in my sound journey sessions. I'm already having individuals do them, but just the subtle ones, not the because with breath work, whatever, if it's Soma, if it's Wim Hof, we're really moving the energy out of the body. We're Because we're learning to breathe down to the belly, which is our lower energy centers. And this, since our lower energy centers is where we're holding everything there. Like, well, I want to say we're basically this where we hold our worries, our stress, our insecurities, our sadness and fear, like way back from childhood when we've been told by adults, you must don't feel that way. Don't let those emotions out. Like, no, you can't, um, so that came into play with me actually having started to practice it from a gal who became my mentor. And it wasn't really about the breath work, really. It was more about mindset and evolving, and the breath work came into play with it. It was a program, and I was already doing her free, what do you call it, ceremony ones, and then I started doing some of the short free ones that were on YouTube on the founder's site. And then just one day there was just, when you have that moment of, oh, I am not going to get in my way anymore. I'm done. This was calling to me. So when I said yes, the ability to pay for it showed up.
Oh, I
So,
love that.
so I did. And it was life-changing for me. And so I'm very passionate about that because it opens the door to even more of energy. We're all energy. Everything is energy. Emotions are energy. Our thoughts are energy. How I always remember when I've been doing sessions with individuals, coaching sessions and things, it's like I would say, don't hold on to your emotions, but at that time when I was saying it, it's like release them, let it go. It there's a deeper layer to that. It's not about just really letting it go. It's really deciding what meaning you're going to give to all of that, and what way can I move what is technically really energy out that doesn't serve me. And from my own personal experience, Soma, the breath work, is literally my medicine cabinet.
Mm.
I have shifted, but during the COVID time, I had a little touch of it, but I was already in that space of already knowing how my thoughts can create. And I hadn't gotten into the program yet for the Soma breath work. I was practicing the free ones. And then I started noticing that every time I did it, because we have breath retention and breath retention and breath where if you know anything about Dr. Joe Dispenza, it's pulling the mind out of the body. I would feel the insides of my mouth just tingling and tingling. And then so I only lost my taste, not completely, just a little bit for maybe 24 hours.
Wow.
And when I realized, like, ooh, this is really, instead of doing the breath work once a day, I was doing it 4 times a day.
Okay.
And I would feel myself start to get a bit energized. But just because I got energized, I wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna go do this and that. No, I really relaxed. I listened and was mindful. So probably in about 4 days, I was just fine. But I let my body rest when it needed to rest, but I didn't have anything else. But there were other things I started having happier, like feeling happier because I had intention. Everything, intention. So that's the aspect, the things that I actually, these are all the tools that I use and I actually teach and help individuals. Like when you're in session with me, I share. I'm not about like, well, I'm going to hold back and sharing something. There are sometimes powerful, impactful videos that were for me that I'm like, here, I feel like this is for you. This is what I do. But I believe our topic today is about, I think, perception, perspective, something along the lines like that. And I love it because it's that touches on the line of creating. And so I was mentioning earlier, our our thoughts, our words, um, even like our breath, our movement, all that is energy. And so maybe for someone who's still maybe trying to grasp the creating from being piece, more look at it in its line of like manifesting. But manifesting is, I feel like, is a word that people just throw out there as like something that you just do here and there. But that's not true. It's absolutely not true. So creating from being is pretty much the same as manifesting because it's our way of life.
Okay.
We're doing it every second because we are creating from that space of who we're being like right now. So like there isn't a past, there is no past, present, future. Like everything is now. And I remember when I used to hear that, and my mom used, I kind of got it, but when I really got it, I was like, oh, I did not get it before, you know. But literally, the past, present, future is now because whom we're being now can affect anything from our past, and it also affects anything from our future. But in that present moment, which can change within 10 seconds.
Sure.
And when I say change your past, I mean, we, it's, and now this is something that I believe that it has been said that we usually do not remember our past actually correctly. It's usually not actually it's not all very true because it's all a story. That story that's probably changed as we've moved forward. And so when we remember something, look at it this way. So when we're remembering something about our past, we're actually bringing that past in now. We're bringing that in the present moment, which is like happening now. And it's not to say that, okay, maybe I'm sharing with someone something that happened in my childhood or something that maybe happened a week ago. Now, and maybe we're discussing an event that we were at together where something had occurred or happened, and they're remembering it differently than I'm remembering it. Are they wrong? In the past, it'd have been like, no, 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 that's not happened. But here's the thing, that's a perception. It's their view based off of the energy that they were vibrating at the time is how they're receiving it. And when I say energy, it's basically how are they like the energy of like the eyes, the breath, the taste, the movement, beliefs. It's all one thing. So that is how we form technically everything that's literally in front of us. So that is their personal experience of how they remember it. So it's true. It is true for them. Because you can hear somebody say, like, but that's not true. That didn't happen like that. But it is to them. If that is their belief, then yes, it is. But also with my belief, or it is true for me because that was my experience. That's how I remember it. So it's kind of like to take a little different perspective when you're conversing with someone and you have a different memory or experience of what had occurred when you were in the same place. And it's kind of to like look at it like, wow, I find it fascinating. I find it absolutely fascinating. Like, wow, okay, that's kind of cool, you know? And so I've done a lot of studying, but it's not just studying. So I'm this type of person that when I discover something new that I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. That's great. I'm all in. I devour it, but I'm also implementing, which is why sometimes I don't finish some of my books because I'm already implementing in it because that's who I am. I'm like, I'm going to test it out. There's this amazing teacher, Neville Goddard, who is
Okay.
absolutely phenomenal. Like I don't know, have you heard of Neville Goddard?
I don't think I have.
All right, so he was teaching this way back in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And I remember this was probably like in 2018, I want to say. I dove back into Abraham Hicks. Now I've been really deep in the transformation and really coming out into more light and like, okay. And I was like, so when I revisited Abraham Hicks again, and I was like, I get you now, but there's a missing piece. There's something missing, and I'm ready. I don't know. There's something. And then, of course, when I knew I was ready, I can't remember how his teaching showed up for me, but I know it was on social media. It was Neville Goddard. The woman who became my mentor and teacher in that for over 2 years. I think it was she was sharing like one of his quotes or something like that. And I remember reading that. I'm like, oh, that. I'm like, that's it. That's the missing piece. It's all coming, like it's all within. So basically everything is within. And I'm sure if you've been in a space of like listening to people talk about manifesting and all these techniques and things like that, here's the thing. Though everybody will have a technique that they use, and they're not wrong, but it's what works for them. And but that's all they are. They're only tools. They're only techniques. They don't get you what you want. They're not creating. You're already creating, but maybe you want some sort of guidance or help to maybe get in that space or something, but the thing is to know that you're already doing it. You're already doing it. And maybe it's just intention. Who are you choosing to be? But Neville Goddard was the one who would say, feeling is the secret. Now, people took that in so many different ways, but in reality, it wasn't like, okay, you have to really feel it to know that you've already attained it. It's really like for me in my way, it's just knowing. I feel like it's so much more knowing that I've already attained it, because creation actually is really finished. It is all finished, but it's allowing thyself to receive and to trust. So we say prayer. I look at prayer so differently now. The one of the things like pray in a sense it's already given, because you're already praying in thankfulness. I do remember when I was like, I'm pleased, God, I would really like to have this, or I want to, just things like that. But I was already saying I didn't have it.
Yeah.
So, and I actually love Neville's teachings, because he dove into the Bible too, where it's really the story of our life. It's been interpreted in such a different way by man who is in charge of church, things like that. And I guess that's why growing up Catholic, as a child, I used to always question things didn't make sense to me. And um, and now I know why I question it. And when I'm here, it's like, oh my gosh, this makes so much more sense. But the thing is, like what I say, this is my belief. This has been in my energy field, and this has been what my clients have dove into, and they're seeing and experiencing these changes. Or sometimes I'm walking, and I'm walking with a friend, and we're just chatting, and it's just like, and you just kind of look at me like, wow, you really know your stuff. Like, but what you're saying actually makes sense. And I'm like, it does, So
Right.
I absolutely, I'm never in a space of having to convince anybody of anything. It's not my job. That I look at it. This is the space, and the space that I'm in. And I just feel like my presence, the words that I use in that moment, because that's who I'm being, it's going to land the way it's supposed to land for someone.
Sure.
I'm sharing my passion, And anyone who knows me knows that I could keep going. I could go on and talking, even with strangers. When um, so one of my fun things that I do, um, I mean, I love this is fun, but I'm talking about fun from away from my 3D job. um, I sometimes work liquor tastings where in liquor stores where we provide samples to people, see if they like the product or not. And I recently, it was about maybe 3 weeks ago, like at the time it was a THC product. We sample them out non-dose, so they're not dosed. They're just, it's like drinking a soda. And this guy comes up and he's like, I don't know, I can't. He just started talking about he's done ayahuasca journeys. I'm very, and oh my gifts, I'm very in tune. And I was like, ooh, I'm like, you've you went on a journey and you really released a lot of stuff. And I can't remember what else I was saying, but he's on the side of me here, and I'm like, my table's here, and he just came right around in front of me and like, how do you know this stuff? I'm like, I like because I teach it, and he was like, hey, and he was talking some more. And then I was like, okay, I'm a Dr. Joe Dispenza fan. I mean, I do his work every single day. That's another thing. His meditations are phenomenal. Like they take me no place, no time, nowhere. I'm a no thing. And I just asked him, have you heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza? And then he looks at me like, oh my God. He's like, I was meant to come here and see you because I had never sampled at this particular liquor store, which was actually in Little Falls.
Okay.
And he said he had never been to that. He's never gone to that liquor store before.
Oh, wow.
And I go,
So what are the odds, right?
I'm like, of course you came here to meet me, So it's guys, and we, so it's it's like the people I meant to meet are the right ones. So it's the same goes for you and everybody else. Whom you're meant to meet is at the perfect timing. And it could even be like just as simple as maybe you were desiring to work in a specific place or something, and all of a sudden you happen to meet someone that, oh, they happen to maybe work there, or they happen to know someone that works there. And it just comes up. You didn't mention anything about it, but all of a sudden that happens to come up. And you know what? That's the doorway. That's your opportunity where it's like, here it is. You decide, do I want to take it? Or am I just gonna like maybe go the other way because if I say something to this person, they might think I'm weird or something, It's like, no. It's like you ask yourself, how bad do I want to be the change? Because we're always changing all the time. And I gotta share this. I know she gives me permission to share. I have a client that she's always wanted change. She keeps telling me, I want change. I want to be, she works in the corporate world, and she was like, I want to be recognized, and I'm never recognized by company. But I'm like, but are you recognizing yourself? Are you celebrating you? Are you acknowledging that you're that good? 'Cause she's really good at what she does. So, but she wanted a life too, because she was working almost 60 hours a week and not getting paid for it.
Oh.
So then but she always kept saying, I want the change and I want this and I want that. And I was like, yeah, and I was, what was it? Then one day there was a message. But the energy changed. The energy was, oh, I'm going to have what I want. I want this and I want that, and I am done. So what happened? She, like that moment within 2 weeks where she wasn't getting the interviews she wanted for jobs. She wasn't getting called in for that second interview. Well, within 2 weeks, she had two companies that both wanted her, and they called her in for a second interview. And that one was offering the amount of money she wanted. The other one offered a little less. But the main thing she really wanted was a balance of life, her personal life, and work. She looked at the other one that had offering her financially what she wanted. She was like, she's like, that kind of feels like that one could potentially be like the job I'm working in now.
Okay.
Now the other one, she's like, if there's room for growth, to maybe start making what I have been making, I could probably have a little bit of more, personal life. So she decided on her own she was going to drive to both buildings because these were both work at home jobs. But that was her other thing. She was the person that was so upset and so didn't know how to be home and work from home. It was a big challenge for her. Then it became where, no, when I get a new job, I have to work from home. So she loved being at home. So anyway, she decided to go with the one that was going to offer her a little less. She decided to go there because she felt really good. And here was like, oh my goodness, Christmas. I get a whole week off and I don't even have to use my PTO hours. Is this normal? I'm like, yes, it is. It is for you. That
It is.
that is your normal, and then the fact of just recently, like other things are starting to open up for her because she was kind of going back to pattern. So we're used to that. When I say pattern, or that can be anything, where like your pattern of how you're always thinking. Like maybe I'm used to feeling unrecognized, but you're not intentionally wanting to be unrecognized, but that was your natural habit. That's the habit you want to break. That's the pattern of thinking you want to um, dismantle that. So this was part of her. She was in this new job. She's in she's still there now, but I'm not getting recognized like I should. And I'm like, again,
Right. Pattern shows up again.
yeah. And I'm like, notice the pattern, but it wasn't just there, it was in other little areas. So then, but she would get recognized in some areas, and I would say, but look, with somebody from this other company that you work with, that they went out of their way in an airport to meet you and have their coworkers see who you are because you did a great job. But didn't quite land. But now it's like, well, not only she's got an article being written, a small article, but it's not small, it's a big deal. In a company, in that business, being written about her. No one in that company has ever had that happen. Another company that for a POS system that she convinced this company to purchase wants her to be their spokesperson, but not just in her job though. So in her home, she's got a lot of landscaping she did where there's an association, it's a townhouse, but she was like, I don't know, I'm supposed to do this, but she did a lot of work. She pulled a bunch of buckthorns and it's so pretty. Then finally, just literally a week ago, members on the board of association just happened to go there. She was like outside, she was like, ooh. And they were like, did you do this? She's like, yep. They were very impressed. They liked it. So is there something else that maybe we can provide you with to, and I was like, see? And they had a guy who salvages trees.
Okay.
And he just said to her, nice job. And she's like, they were looking at me like, this girl did this. I'm like, see, this, like this right here, because this is just giving you an invitation. When you get little, what appears to be little snippets of what you want, you gotta celebrate it. Because when you're in a space of gratitude, when you're in a space of celebration and happiness, then you receive more of it. It's letting go of So basically, the point with the story was she had to let go of it. It had to come from these people the way she wanted. That's limiting. It,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
to be unlimited, to allow the universe, was actually the universe is you, to present it better than you've ever imagined. And creating from a space of being is you already in that space of I've already received this. I don't know how. So the how, the when, the who is none of your business. It's
Okay.
none of our business, because that's the analytical mind. I need it. That's wanting to have control. It's releasing control of how things need to be. Whom do they need to come from? When do they need to happen? Because when you let go of that, you allow it to, because there's so many unlimited possibilities that better than we, better than our minds could actually put it together and present it. And I think some people, and I've done this before, where can make the mistake of the going for the bridge. The bridge meaning, I think, let's see, I'm trying to think of an example of bridge. Well, I think an easier, like a client of mine, like for having a specific person, okay, or like I'm hearing to where they're like, oh my gosh, I got a text, that's great, but it's not about the text. That's not it. It's what is the end? What is the end of what you're truly desiring? Was happy, loving relationship, or where I'm always honored for who I am. Whatever it is for you, that's it. That's the end there. Or maybe I'm married to my happy, loving husband or happy, loving wife. You know, it's and the thing is, I say happy because you can be in love, but if you're in love, are you happy though? There's a difference.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
There's a difference. So
Uh-huh.
happy, that's a, and so there are people, who are like, oh my gosh, this has got to be it because I received the text. But no, it's not the text. That's not, it's like, yes, be thankful. It's like, yeah, okay. But that's not it. I'm like, I'm over here. I'm like right here in my story where it's, it's having a short, it can be a short, simple image or something simple that maybe you hear a family member say, oh, congratulations on your 1 year anniversary. I'm so happy for you. That's it.
Okay. Like
Because
picking one thing that you want and focusing on that, like the anniversary. Congratulations.
yep. So you keep it, the reason you keep it simple, because we can tend to create a story. We can go
Oh
like,
yeah.
well, you had an anniversary, and then at the anniversary, we had other people do this, and then we went, no, because then that gets kind of mucky.
Right.
You want to, or let's just say, okay, for the job, like, you know what? No, it's not the interview. The interview is not it. Because people say, like, I'm going to get that interview, but is it really the interview you want? You
No, it's
want
the
the
step
end.
beyond. Yeah.
Yep, it's like, I'm already working my job, or like, I get the congratulations of, oh, how long have you been at your job? Like, that's awesome, like something like that, or what, maybe I got a raise in my job. But in if there's a specific company that you want to be at, absolutely. Imagine yourself already sitting at your desk and and maybe you're taking a phone call or something, or your boss is telling you, great job, thank you, that's it. Now, I have a story that I can share from my own personal experience with a job. So I manifested the job I'm in right now, but not specific. So I wasn't specific in like the fields or anything like that. So it just was back in the end of 2019. I had owned my own business for a while, and I just thought, about for 13 years, and I thought, can I get back? Can I get back in the computer industry? It's been a long time, and I really like to just get a consistent paycheck. I don't know, and I just imagine, like, I don't know, that I was already working a job, no specific place. I had no idea if I could get back in the field that I was going to do this. But you know what? I just went to a temp agency. I don't know, see what you have. And what turned out to be a 2 month temporary job is now 6 years later of consistently, but in a field that I've never had an experience in. Now, but I remember the interview. It was on a phone, and I was busy cleaning a cabinet at the time. But I'm just an interview because I wasn't attached to it in the sense that I gotta have this.
Yeah.
It was like I was interviewed by 3 different people. I was not nervous. I was just like, you know what? I'm like, I'll figure it out. I'm like, whatever. So they evidently liked me. And so down to the wire, I was like, okay, 2 months, I'm like, I'd really like this to get extended. So I would imagine my boss in that company saying, oh, we've extended your contract, literally down to the last few hours. Oh, we're extending your contract because we have, and we're going to have you go to another team because their person, one of their people is going on maternity leave for like 3 or 5 months. And I was like, oh, okay. Then that time was coming up. I'm like, okay, but yes, I was feeling a bit nervous and stuff. And so I was like, I did again. Imagine, okay, it got extended. And then I was like, be nice if it was longer than you like every 6 months, like maybe a year would be nice. And that happened. But so here's the thing. I got moved to a completely different department, completely different team. And that was out of my comfort zone. And I remember because of the team I was on, the lead person was not exactly very friendly at the time. And I remember going, I did not sign up for this, so, I was kind of forgot what I knew how to do until I think it was like 2.5, 3 months later. I'm like, what are you doing? You know what to do. So here's the thing. It wasn't that I had to like being on a team, that it had to be great. There was just one thing. She's happy. I was like, that person is happy. Because it mattered to me how she felt. Like, she's happy. If she is happy, it's a win-win for everybody. And I didn't go into like, how did that have to be? I just imagined like, she's happy. That is it. I gotta tell you something. There were things happening in the background was that I had no clue what was happening. And so what happened was there was one day I had to work one-on-one with her because we needed to work on something together. I was like, okay. But I was like, oh my gosh, who is this person? Oh, she is so funny. She is hilarious. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
This is amazing. So I shared it with this one guy he's called a scrum master. And that's a person that kind of just helps a team be successful and stuff. And he was like, she's loving her life, isn't she? I'm like, yes. And I got back like, well, but that didn't end there though. She evidently wasn't happy where she was. She left, she gave notice and left to another company. Everybody else was shocked and surprised because they didn't see that coming. And I sat there and I was just like, So in order to be on a really great team, an amazing team, and with ease and flow, well, she went to another company where she was happy. But guess what? We got a replacement who was phenomenal.
Oh, yay.
We all fell in love with him and stuff. But then a couple other people left, but seeing the shift in some of the team members, like how they started coming out of their shells and shining and stuff. I'm like, then our team, the team that I'm on now, is like the team that the company's other teams were looking to, like, well, how are they being so successful? And blah, 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 blah. I'm like, see, it's easy. So that's a perfect example to get out of the way of how you feel things need to be. Now, does it mean it will like never happen? But it's like you ask yourself, like, what do you want? Do you want limited? Or you want to be, or you want to really dive into your unlimited power, your unlimited grace. And it's not like the like that ego sense, like, yeah, but I mean, like, it's just really like having that confidence within yourself to say, yes, I am the cause. Because I am the cause of everything that is outside of me, but I don't need to change my. So people are like, I want my outside world to change. Well, it can't change unless you change it from within.
Sure.
Because
Yep.
how you talk to yourself, how do you view yourself, but also how are you talking inside about others? What is your view about others? What is your view about everything else? If there's a negative, then that is how you're viewing yourself too. That's you. Um,
Yep. Yep.
it is you. Um, and but also to not give yourself judgment or to judge others, because when you're judging others, you're judging yourself. And
Right.
not be hard on yourself. It's like, well, I should know this and I should know how to do. No, it's just like it's your awareness, like, oh, okay, I can see where I was not being truly authentic to me, so I can change that. I can change it with a simple thought. And sometimes we could be really deep in an emotion. Let's just say, I'm going to say maybe anger, or let's say sadness. It's like, but here's the thing, it's an emotion we bought into. It's not
Yep.
to say like, okay, don't ever feel anger, don't ever feel sadness. No, it's really just an energy, but don't ignore it, like acknowledge it. But recognize, where is it really coming from? Are you really mad at that person? Or are you actually, or is it the circumstance? But then look at the circumstances, and where was my thought process that maybe this happened? But it's not saying that we create something negative to happen to us. It's just like, oh, I can see how that happened because my thought processes or something like that has maybe been in that kind of direction. Like, or maybe I have been not treating myself very well. So other people are showing up to show me that what I believe of myself is true, whether it's great or not. Because if I'm having this emotion of, well, I don't think I'm really good at that, and I'm not worthy, or I really don't like how I look, well, guess what? Everybody outside of you will play their parts perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I start to guide my clients into to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, how much do you love yourself? Maybe write down something, five things, maybe start off five, because I get some like, what? That's a lot of stuff. Like, so anyway, 5 to 10 things. What do you really love about you? Not like, but what do you love? You know, and go all in. What do you want others to remember? Here's one that I had to do once. And I thought, okay, I could do that, and it's writing an obituary about yourself. What do you want how do you want other people to remember you? Um, and we forget that just because we are in a sense considered grown-ups, that we're maybe shouldn't be acting childlike. I'm like, oh no, childlike is the way to be. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like childlike in the way of, I'm gonna go have fun, like, go out in the lake and do some cannonballs, or go run around, or what? Maybe I used to color, like color. I love to do that. Like, what are the things that you love to do as a child? And maybe even I look at children, even babies, as the most purest, most authentic, because they've not been programmed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Not programmed. And that right there is like, that's the way to be. There is no distinction of color or race, or I don't like you, or it's just love and a curiosity. love and on an adventure. I'm curious. I'm exploring. So it's like it's an invitation to look at your life as I'm exploring. What more can I find that I like? I'm on a journey. I'm on a journey. And if I'm not liking how I feel, you know what? I'm going to maybe let that go and choose to care about how I feel. And I don't care. I don't care if anybody thinks I'm a little silly or something. It's like, yep, I am, because that's the way to be. That's how I like to be, you know. But as I talk about all of these things, it doesn't mean that you will never have an emotion or experience of sadness, anger, hurt, or something. But it's more or less noticing, where does it come from, and how much life am I going to give to it, and how long am I going to choose to sit in it. That's the key. And because I don't go into what I've heard is called the spiritual bypass. Oh, I just got to be positive. No, no, because positivity is great, but if you're not really believing it and
Right.
you're stuffing the emotions down, I'm going to ignore you. Well, guess what? It's not going to go away. And when it comes back up, it's going to come back louder, so
Yeah.
that you can acknowledge it. So all it wants is love. Love is what it wants, or acknowledgement, acceptance.
Mhm.
Actually, so I call the emotions like, so I like, there's a boardroom, and in the chair, you know, you have certain emotions. What is your dominant ones? Like at one time one was mine, disappointment. I didn't realize that was disappointment. So because my it's so subtle though. So there were certain instances was, there's somebody else that sits in that chair, but I'm sitting in that chair too, that's providing me the experience of disappointment, whether it's something major or little. And I remember going, oh, disappointment. So what's the opposite of disappointment? Was delighted. Like, so if I was sad was disappointment. And it's like, yes, but I always have delighted experiences. I'm always experiencing delighted experiences. So it's rewiring. So
Yeah.
you're rewiring your normal way of thinking. And it's so subtle. And this was something that my mentors helped me work like to, because I was like, I recognized that there was an emotion there, but I needed help with the boardroom member. I need a little help with it. I'm missing something, and I loved it. It's like disappointment. I'm like, oh yes, and I could see who would occupy the seat. I'm like, and I wasn't like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, fascinating. That's me. I was like, oh, that is cool. That is fascinating. Because guess what? Now that I see you, the disappointment, I know how now to, you know, shift that. It took a little while, but I'm just like, okay, let's let's do this. That's just how I am. And it's always for me an invitation for others, like, I love when they just come sit in front of me, someone that I've not met. Like when I go to Healing House Energy Spa on the every third Saturday, I always get that person that they already have that awareness, and they sit down and I'm listening. And by the time we're done, it's just like unlock the doors to the missing pieces. It's just a little shift. But then afterwards, it's up to them to decide, okay, am I going to follow through with some of these things that I've learned, or what is there for me? That's the piece I think some individuals can struggle with a little bit, is being consistent. Used to be that. I was not the person that meditated. I used to think like, you got to be very quiet, blah, blah, blah. But nope, not anymore. um, because um, we're never, ever, ever going to stop thinking. We're not, we're always going to have some sort of thoughts there. And so that anxiety that some people can experience quite often is because they're just overthinking. They're thinking much in the future of creating scenarios that haven't even happened yet. And then when they happen, they're like, oh, see, I knew that was going to happen. But in reality, it happened because they believed it was going to happen and they already created it. So instead, it's like, and I can catch myself sometimes too. Like, there are times I'm like, oh, I'm like, why are you doing that? Why are you creating something that hasn't happened yet? Got it. We're going to be right here present. And like present meaning, okay, like for me right now, I'm like, I'm right here in my living room, present moment. What am I experiencing? I'm seeing what's in front of me, or if I'm outside, I'm driving, present moment. I'm noticing the trees and I'm listening to the sounds of the birds and just present moment. So that's kind of like my way of shutting it down. Like I just like, okay, because you can say like, okay, stop. No. And even the doubts, when our doubts come in, that's because we're not having faith. Being faithful to the story, being faithful to yourself, being faithful to your belief. That is what faith is having faith in knowing that all is already given. And my go-to is always trust the process. You just trust the process. I don't care what is happening on the outside that doesn't appear. Because I've had a few instances where someone's like, that's not exactly what I was going for. But I'm still trusting the process because I know I decided, I made the decision. I'm trusting the process. And then all of a sudden, just certain things like started happening. I was like, oh, okay, that. I was like, that right there. That, yes, it's kind of like that. But yeah, it's an invitation to like and to ask yourself, like put out there, okay, what is there more for me to expand on and be surprised what shows up? This is how I feel like Neville Goddard showed up for me. And then I had another person show up for me. And then it's just like, and I think like, wow, this person really, their teachings and stuff I really resonate with, and I start practicing it. And then sometimes I'm like, there's something more, but I don't know what that is. And then something else shows up, and I'm just like, wow, like that.
There it is.
Yeah, like there it is. And sometimes it's along the lines of something was novel, but there's more to it, like so much more easier. Like there's this guy named Steve Hardison. He was shared to me by a colleague and a coach. It was just a rare video of him telling a story of one of his clients, but it wasn't about his client. It was just like, I was like, this man, that's how the name of my business came from, the inspiration of him. He never really went into studying like and doing the metaphysical things or anything, or wanting to be a coach or something. He doesn't even consider himself a coach, but he just retired, but he coaches people in the corporate world. But he's so authentic. There is not a no in his vocabulary. Everything is possible. And just learned about him from his book. It's not his book, it's the book about him that was written by his wife and a friend and colleague that kept telling him, I'm told I need to write a book about you. He goes, how do you write a book on being? He goes, you can't do that. He's like, I don't care about a book. I don't need a book written about me. And but the book got written at some point. So in the book is mainly stories of every single person that they interviewed that had a connection with him and how he impacted their lives. And just the stories are so amazing. And his story as a child is like, man, and you are alive, and he's just filled with so much love. He 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 he's being love at all levels. And people had paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to work with him for 100 hours, but is an investment in them. Even his son, one of his kids hired him as a coach, and he had to pay the same amount as everybody else. And he's like, because I want my son to know he's invested in himself.
There you go.
And people would say when they walked into his office, his space, they felt like they didn't even know him like thoroughly yet. And they're like, it felt like it was on sacred ground or something. Like it was just like, whoa, you know, but it was just him. He's just like, so he had people create a document, their document. You know how we have affirmations and things. You probably see quote or something on somebody's post like, wow, I like that. But here's the thing, it didn't come from you. It came from them. So it's writing your documents to who are you? When somebody asks you, who are you? They would say, well, this is who I am, blah, 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 you know, and it can change. But so creating themselves every single day, every day. And so I was like so inspired. I created my own document. I don't have to hire him to create my document, but I was curious, what is a document? So we finally shared it. I was like, ooh, I like that because that comes from my heart. That's from me. And writing it down because I don't know the scientific term for it, but it's like basically I feel like it just anchors it in. You're declaring it. I mean, you can even say it, but I hear like when you write those things down, it has even more meaning. It has more purpose for you and your programming. So I program myself every morning. And it can change too. Doesn't always have to be the same. It can always change because I'm being a change, you know,
Right.
stuff like that. So yeah. Just know, so it's a taken notice too. I think there's a couple of teachers that teach some of the work, like along the lines of Neville Goddard would be like noticing the things that we're giving meaning to, like table. We gave it that's the name we gave the table when it's really it can be anything, you know. So what are we labeling?
Okay.
Maybe just look at it without the name, giving a name to it. And because what you're doing is you're taking away the meaning of it because everything has been given meaning. You know, even our emotions, we give meaning to, okay, sadness. Well, where did that come from? You know, and not knocking astrology or anything. I mean, I was always loved astrology, but I personally look at it differently now because it's like that was created by man. Man decided how to give certain meanings to planets, things like that. So I'm like, I decide who I am. But you know what? I realized that I made that decision back when I was probably, I think, 15 or 16, when I read about the traits of my sign. And I was like, I don't like that. And guess what? I'm not going to be that. And I would intentionally not be that. I'd always catch myself like, oh, no, no. So, so I found that fascinating, but, yeah. And so, an invitation to also play around with what you're creating. Like, there is something like, and this is just fun. Like, you don't have to do it, but I mean, like, but it just kind of shows you like maybe like how easy it is you're creating certain things. Like maybe for like 7 days or so. This was a guy. He's also a Neville and Dr. Joe guy, where he's very scientific, and so he said he did this for himself, and he's like, and it worked for him. He goes, and he's working for some of his clients and stuff. Just try it out, you know. And I started doing it recently, actually, because I was like, okay, why not? Let's just test it out, you know. Writing 10 things for 7 days straight of, like, let's just say I received free ice cream, or I received free delicious food, or I went on a fun trip, you know, just but you don't revisit it. You don't visit it or relook at it till, if you want to, like maybe the 8th or 9th day.
Okay.
But each day is to write something different, not the same thing,
Okay.
but it's 10 things, 7 days straight. And when they start happening, and they can happen right away, they can happen a little later. I've had a couple that happened right away, but here's the thing. I literally did not remember what I wrote down. Like I decided I'm not even gonna dwell on any of it. And then I think like about the 10th day is when I decided, well, let me go take a look. Let's see. And there were 2 things in there. It was like, oh, that. I was like, check and check. And I was like, wow, but it was really good. And then, but what came into play too was something that I had put out, that I actually put out there like probably over a year ago. And that came into play too. So it's like, yeah, okay, this is cool. So it's like having fun. It's like to have fun with it. So then, notice how you're feeling. Like what was your mindset when you were writing those things down? So like when we say some of those things that are really important to us, when actually they're really all the same. We're just deciding that something's bigger than
Right.
something else. But just noticing, who was I being? Like, I was just trusting the process. I'm not saying you you just completely forget about it or anything. I just wrote it down. It's like, and then for me, it was like, this is done. That's it. And I'm not going to dwell on it, because I feel like for me, dwelling on some of it, I feel like I'm still trying to make it happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you're trying, it's like, then you sit in the energy of trying. It's not here yet. I'm waiting. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I decided, no, this is here. This has happened, and I'm done, and let it go. So that was something that I noticed, because I was just like, I'm having fun with this,
I
Um,
love it.
yeah,
Very helpful.
yeah. So do you have any questions for me?
No, this has been great. I've been working on some manifesting things with a colleague of mine, who
Ooh,
a work colleague, but this is like, she's like a master manifester, and a lot of this just dovetails really well with what we've
oh
been
yeah,
with you and working on.
yep. One of the fun things I like to do too. Well, one of my clients. Well, she's not a client anymore, but we're friends now. But she lives in the UK, and she suggested, it was funny. She suggested, why don't we just imagine something for each other, but we just don't tell each other what that is at all.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and so like I literally had literally she had no clue what I'm imagining for her, but I knew some of the things that she wanted. So like what she wanted, I just imagined, like I'm just hearing her say, "Oh, well, guess what? Blah 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 blah." Um, Now she had imagined something, so we just thought, okay, we'll like do a check-in, like just have a conversation, like. So, what have you been up to? What is going, like a few days later, I shared with her some of the things that, just sharing with her, and she's like, I was imagining that for you. I was like,
That's so great.
oh, I was like, that is awesome. And so for her to say, okay, now you share what's happening with you. And I was like, yep, that one, so yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's just kind of, it's fun I because I get to imagine something that for someone that they really, really want,
Yeah.
without me having to go make it happen.
Yep.
Um, and but also choosing in the moment, who am I? And I
Yeah.
go off of my document that I've created. Like I have it to memory. And it's like, yeah. And then certain things that people say to me, it's like, yes, thank you. Like, yes, that's true. Yes, that is who I am. And that is why that is happening. And it's just like, I want everybody to know. I want everybody to know that they have it, that they have the ability. is to allow themselves to, but everybody's in when somebody says like nobody's perfect, I disagree. We're all perfect. Perfect as we are, because why? We're created in the image of our creator, who is love.
Mhm.
How can there be non-perfection in
Mhm.
love? We're all perfect just as we are, but it's us deciding whom are we wanting to be
Right.
and stuff.
Love that.
And it's like fully accepting and loving thyself, which I can say, the time I was not in that space, I did not know what it was like to feel love for who I am. And actually, I can say now, I actually do. And it's the most amazing feeling. And I just want everybody to know it's there. You just have to go for it.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
And
thank you so much for this. It's been great.
yeah, awesome. Thank you. I'm glad I had the interaction. I love
Absolutely.
it.
Very
Such a
fun.
pleasure. Such a pleasure meeting you.
You too. I'll have to
Yes.
see you at one of the Saturday events.
Yes, I should be going down in August. I didn't. This was my first month not going down because I get to spend it with my grandson, whom I haven't seen in a while. So I was like, yes,
Oh, fun.
yes, but okay, next in August. So, all
Okay,
right.
well, hopefully I can make that one.
Yes,
Thanks so much,
well,
Star.
you're welcome. So everyone have a great night. Have a good night too. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.